Hi, I'm Milana, and welcome back to my channel, Unabridged Adventures. And today we're going to be talking about Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and the amazing representation that is in this book for chronic illness, if that makes sense. The amazing chronic illness representation in this book. Because, God, this book means so much to me, and I read it only like 3 weeks ago, but I already know that it's changed my life, and I know that sounds like such a big thing, but it really has. So, to give you guys an idea of, like, what I was like whenever I was reading, I was just starting with a new physical therapist, and it would be my 4th physical therapist in the last 2 years, and it was scary. I was trying a new physical therapist. I didn't know what was going to happen. I'd had bad experiences with physical therapists before, with them not believing that I have the condition that I've been diagnosed with, and so doing things that would cause harm to my joints because of the condition I have. So it's been a whole thing. And so, opening up the first page and reading how she's talking about her physical therapy, I immediately felt like, I don't know how to put it, I've been watching a lot of Anne with an E recently, but I'm like, kindred spirits, like, I relate to that so much, and she's talking about her, like, irregular walks, and just, there were so many things throughout this book, so many just little things that made me relate to Chloe so much, but there were a lot of really big important moments that weren't just that. Like, don't worry, I'm not going to talk about every time that she mentions, oh, okay. Give me a second. Okay, well, I'm back with a brace on. And I guess this would be called an ironic situation. But I was just about to say, I love how she mentioned, like, just casually mentioned the fact that she uses braces, but as I was gesturing, I subluxed my wrist. So, yeah, I'm going to be wearing this probably for the rest of the video just to keep that from happening again. Oh gosh, okay. I'm trying to remember specific things in the book, but again, ironic is that I have horrible brain fog, which really affects my memory, which really affects what I remember about, like, books, and so trying to recall things is really difficult. And she mentions her brain fog, and how she has, like, her whole organization system, or else, like, thoughts just disappear. And so I'm trying to remember where in the book that was, but I can't because of my brain fog. But I love that she talked about not being able to remember things because of her brain fog, if that makes any sense at all. I'm busy actually recovering from a physical therapy appointment yesterday, so if I'm a little out of it, it's probably because I'm in a little bit of pain and tired. But, okay, big things about this book. Honestly, don't know if I have fibromyalgia or not. I've been diagnosed with it, don't know if I have it. It's a whole thing. If you want more information, we can talk in the comments. Not about, like, my physical condition, but, like, how diagnoses, and specifically diagnoses of fibromyalgia, work. Anyway, I don't know if I have it, but I related so much to so many of the things that she said, and I don't have to get more specific, but I'm like, I don't want to get emotional, but we're just diving right into it. I absolutely loved the way that Talia Hibbert represented her family and, like, showed the different aspects of her family, and how you have, like, her grandma who's just, like, super nonchalant about the fact that she's laying on the ground, which is something that I do pretty much on a daily basis because POTS. And whereas you got her mom that sees her on the ground and is immediately freaking out, because that's what some family members do too, and, like, it's a very realistic expectation that, like, not everyone takes everything in stride the same way, and not everyone views different things as healthy or unhealthy in the same manner. I love the way that Eve and Danny supported Chloe so much without doing things for her, because that is a very difficult line to walk, I know, with a lot of people trying to help those with chronic illnesses, and, like, it's a rough one, because there are times where we do need more help than others, but we also don't want to be a burden on anyone or be seen as a burden, because that is such a, oh gosh, that is such a issue with disability, is others seeing you as a burden or you seeing yourself as a burden. And I am guilty of that. And so the way that, like, watching the way that her family interacted without making her seem like a burden, because, like, that's, I know it's such a charged word, but that's because it is emotionally charged. It is a difficult situation that you internalize a lot of the time whenever you see this constant rhetoric that, like, when people apologize to your parents, that, like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, you're being so amazing putting up with your, like, disabled kid. Like, hi, I'm here. I feel just as bad about this situation as you do. Like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to, like, put extra financial stress on my family, and emotional stress, and all the other stresses, physical stress, I don't know. Like, it's a big mental thing that a lot of us have to deal with. And so just seeing the easy, casual way that, like, they show their love through just, like, acts of kindness, and how she specifically says that she won't say thank you, because then that would be, like, accepting help, but how they know this and they're okay with it. Like, yeah, it's not the healthiest thing. It's not the most emotionally healthy thing to not say thank you. But if that's what you need to do to make yourself feel better, then I am all for it. And I completely understand that impulse. And so just seeing the way that her sisters were so supportive just gave me hope that I would find other supportive people. Not that my friends and family aren't extremely supportive and the best people ever. But just, like, knowing I didn't just get, like, 100% lucky, and, like, it was a complete fluke that all these amazing people were my friends to begin with. And that I might find more friends out in the world that are similar. It was really nice to see. And I've been dancing around this one thing. I don't know if any of this is gonna make it in the actual video, because I know I'm all over the place, but gosh. There's one thing that Chloe says in the book that just sucker punched me in the gut. And it wasn't anything to do with how she was feeling in the moment. It wasn't anything about, like, physical therapy or anything like that, no matter how important that was. And it's one thing that I think made me realize how important it is to have representation in all genres. Because honestly, if someone had come to me at the beginning of the year and said, hey, do you want chronic illness representation in sci-fi, fantasy, romance, or, I don't know, what's a non-fantasy? Contemporary, I guess. I don't think I would have said romance. But I honestly think that's the best place for me, personally, that's the best place that I could have started to see any representation. Because I know I'm not the only one that deals with this, but I'm also the only, like, chronically ill person that I know in my, like, immediate family and friends. And so I don't really have a lot of people to talk to about this. Got it. Okay. This is brain fog coming back to bite me. Because I don't remember where it is in the book. And I'm probably going to post the quote down in the description. But if I can remember exactly what it said, it was something along the lines of, her sisters were asking her why she wasn't going out with Red, why she wasn't open to starting a relationship, why she only had meaningless sex on her list. And she said because she just doesn't have the time or energy for a relationship. That it's just too much work. And I have never felt more seen in my life. And I think this is important with representation, is to see that at the end, Chloe sees herself as worthy of love, pretty much. Like, she is able to kind of step outside of her comfort zone, yes, but in a way that makes her comfortable, if that makes sense. And she's still her. She's not changing herself for Red. She's just becoming more comfortable in her own skin. And she's finally able to accept that there are people that can and will love her, and that she is deserving of taking that break, taking that time for herself, for that attention from other people, and that love. And that, God, I have said word for word what she said, and I can't even remember what it was in the book, but I remember reading that and going, oh God, I feel attacked. Because I have used the I don't have the time, I don't have the energy excuse so much whenever it comes to dating or romance or even like making new friends. And it's, I mean, I'm not completely wrong. Okay, maybe I need to talk to my therapist about that, but it was just seeing, I don't think it would have meant as much to me personally seeing this first like step of representation in a sci-fi fantasy novel, because I think the way that representation is delivered, like the mode, the genre in which it exists, really changes the way that the representation functions. And I don't even know if I'm making any sense in this because I'm so tired and oh God, my hip is killing me, but I cried so much while reading this book, and it has taught me so much about myself because I was able to recognize things that I do through the way that Chloe does things. And it's forced me to confront some things, like some excuses that I've been using, where when she says it in the book, it is so obviously clear that that is an excuse, but when I say it, I'm able to rationalize it, and that sort of thing. And I am so thankful to Talia Hibbert for writing this book and doing such an amazing job with the representation. If I'm not completely wrong, I'm pretty sure I'm not, but Talia has fibromyalgia herself, and so she deals with this on a daily basis in the same way that a lot of us chronically ill people do. And so the representation, God, it just means so much. I know I'm rambling and I'm all over the place. I can never put into words just how much this means because I know I'm going to start crying if I do. But in the way that I was able to love Chloe and be sitting there and telling herself, like, take a break, like, I can sit there and tell Chloe in the book that she needs to take a break for herself. She needs to let herself rest, like, be kind to her body and all of that. And she needs to eat and she needs to hydrate and, like, take her meds and, like, all of that. And I'm completely okay with telling that to Chloe. But whenever it comes time to do it myself, it's difficult. And so being able to recognize all of that in another character and to see other characters recognize that and respond and kind of push them to do what's better for themselves, it's really, oh God, it means a lot. This book really has changed my life. It's probably going to be one that I reread a lot. I'd say it's honestly become my comfort book because whenever I was reading this, I couldn't walk half the time and then I couldn't sit the other half. And so I started reading it and then have to stop and like stand and walk around for a long time. And then I'd finally be able to sit back down. And just there was so much going on, and it is so difficult sometimes to love your body and yourself when it feels like your body is fighting you. This book made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me confront a lot of the excuses that I make for my behavior and for the way that I think of myself a lot of the time, while also making me fall more in love with the way that my body works and the way that it still works to protect me, even whenever it's confused. And God, I haven't even gotten to the romance part of this book yet, because this book made me want my own Redford Morgan so badly. What can be said about Redford Morgan that hasn't already been said? He is an artist. He is an amazing boyfriend to Chloe. He's working through his own stuff, but is still absolutely there whenever she's working through hers. He, God, loves Chloe so much. God, just the way that he was so not careful around her, if that makes sense. He was not careful, but he was aware, if that makes any sense to anyone else, in that he was completely okay with, like, just not helping her do things. Like, oh god, that doesn't make any sense. No. He would help when she needed it, but was not overly pushy about things and did not make her feel like a burden. Because we're back to this burden thing, because that's what a whole lot of chronic illness trauma does to you and your mental state. But like the way that he was so casual about all of her pain medication in her drawer, and the way that whenever she went to go take a shower while he was there and said like, oh, like if you hear me fall and you knock and I don't answer, then you can like come in and check on me. Like he just took that so casually in stride and was just so enamored by her and didn't let her illness come in the way of things. And I feel like this should just be the general expected behavior of someone falling in love with someone with a chronic illness, but also as a person with chronic illness, I'm always so worried about whether people are going to think, if I'm going to become that burden on people, and the fact that he was so casual about everything. Like, he made sure that on their camping trip, they didn't park too far away from the car. Like, they didn't have their tent too far away from the car, because they didn't know how much she would be able to walk the next day, which has other connotations, but like he was just always keeping these little things in mind. So he wasn't completely changing everything. He was just making sure to always like not expect her to be able to do everything that he could. Like when she said camping, he didn't take her like hiking up a mountain to go camp at the top. He just said, okay, we're gonna drive out there, we will camp in the woods, and we'll be good. And like when they went drinking, he kept like all the bars in like a similar area so that they would be able to walk to them, but without being too far, so that she wouldn't have to strain herself. It's just things like that that I love. And God, this was just the month of me falling in love with all of the main characters in these books. But like, if I could get a Redford Morgan to just like show up and like cuddle me through a flare up, I would be so thankful and grateful to the universe. But just, and like the way he had no expectations for her and didn't push things, but also didn't treat her like a China doll. Like, there are so many things in this book where everyone did the right thing when it came to her illness. Like, it wasn't a big deal, if that makes sense. Like, it's a big deal in her mind because she's the one living with it, but it wasn't treated like a big deal by everyone else. Yeah, her mom was like, why are you lying on the floor? Get up, you're lying like a corpse, and like that whole thing at the very beginning. But other than that, like, she wasn't treated like a child. She wasn't treated like she couldn't take care of herself. She was still an adult, just a person, and she was a person. She didn't have her personhood and her agency removed from her just because of her illness. And God, I loved that. I love everything about this book, and I could go on for ages, and I really shouldn't because I've already rambled enough. But gosh, this book is absolutely amazing. And I'm probably gonna be ranting about it for like the next 5 years. Yeah, no, we all know that it's like the rest of my lifetime. But I am completely okay with that. So if you want to hear me, rant any more about chronic illness representation, what I thought about Get a Life, Chloe Brown, any of the other books behind me, or just ask invasive personal questions like people think that they can do on the internet. You can leave a comment down below, or you can follow me at any of my socials that I leave in the description. I've got Bookstagram, or I've got Instagram with the Bookstagram account. I've got Twitter. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys thought. If this book like hit home as hard for you as it did for me. If you enjoyed it, if you didn't, like no judgment if you didn't. I know that it spoke to me in a very specific way because I have a similar illness and have similar day-to-day issues. Um, but yeah, I'd love to get everyone's opinions. So yeah, I don't know when this is gonna go out, and I need to just stop talking at some point. Oh, extra stuff down below, like Black Lives Matter links. Um, check out stuff down below for the Philippines. They are still recovering from the typhoons, and there will probably be some other stuff down below, just to stay up to date with everything going on in the world, because everyone is having a bad year. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good new year, and I will see you guys later. Bye.